Parshas Voeira, Tafshin Ayin Beis. We're back from the Holy Land, unfortunately, but nevertheless, we continue on with our series of Shiurim. This week's Parsha, we're in Mitzrayim. Parsha talks about the Makkos, starts with Makkos Dam, goes until Borad. 7 out of the 10 Makkos are in this week's Parsha. There's really so much to talk about in this week's Parsha, especially the Makkos. Very, very deep meaning in all of them, a lot of different things to talk about. So what we're going to do is we're not going to talk about the Makkos. We're going to talk about something totally different this week and give you something when everybody else talks about the Makkos this Friday night by the table. You'll have something else to talk about. Beginning of the Parsha, the Rebbeinu Shalom is telling Klal Yisrael, telling Moshe Rabbeinu that Voeira, and then it says, Ve'vesi, we go through the Daled L'Shonos Shel Geula. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to take you out of Mitzrayim, and then I'm going to bring you to Eretz Yisrael. We're going to stay on the theme of Eretz Yisrael, as last week a little bit. We were zoichet to do it from Eretz Yisrael. Ve'vesi eschem el ha'aretz. I'm going to bring you to Eretz Yisrael, and I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you Eretz Yisrael, and then I'm going to give it to you as Moirasha, as an inheritance. We see a bit of a conflict in the Lashonos of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give Eretz Yisrael to Klal Yisrael. A Matana and a Yerusha in the same pasuk, somehow they don't fit together. One is a present, and one is an inheritance. How do they? Which one is Eretz Yisrael going to be? How is HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to give Eretz Yisrael to the Yidden? Will it be a present, or will it be an inheritance? So if you look throughout the Torah, you look in a couple different places, you'll see that Eretz Yisrael is actually referred to as a matana in other places. We see v'alchalta v'savato v'rachta es Hashem alekecha ala oretz ha'toiva asher nosan lach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us Eretz Yisrael, giving it to us as a present. A couple of other different places it says also that Eretz Yisrael is given as a present. There's a pasuk in next week's parsha. V'hoyaki yiviacha Hashem el eretz haknani, and then the pasuk says further unasana lach, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring you to the eretz, to the land of the Knani, and He's going to give it to you as a present. Zok the Mechilta in next week's parsha. The Mechilta says shaloi tehei be'inecha ki yerusha savois. I don't want Eretz Yisrael to be to you as some kind of inheritance. What should it be? Ela tehei be'inecha ki ilu hayoim nisun alach. That as if out of nowhere, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving you this unbelievable, tremendous gift, this tremendous present Hashem is giving you, and it's called Eretz Yisrael. What does it tell us? What do we learn from this medrash? Though we do see from this medrash, the medrash says we do not want Eretz Yisrael. Don't look at Eretz Yisrael as an inheritance. Look at it as a present. We see from here that the madrega of a present is much higher than one of a Yerusha. Since the medrash is telling us, don't look at it that way. I'd rather you look at it that I'm giving a present. We actually see the same idea not only in Eretz Yisrael, we see it by Shabbos, and we'll see it in one or two other places too, but by Shabbos also. We say in Shemona Esrei, V'loi nesatoi Hashem alekeinu l'goyei ha'aratzois, V'loi hinchaltoi malkeinu lev v'kusilim, that's hinchaltoi, right? And then, Ki l'Yisrael amcha nisatoi bi'ava. Kosh Baruch Hu, again, we see, we're saying, in the same sentence, we're saying that it's a Yerusha and it's a present. Also, we find both Lashonos. Why is it that we mention both a Yerusha and a Nesina? The Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos, Daf Yudam and Beis, Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe. Many of you know it's also a song today, but it was in the Gemara first, believe it or not, before the song was written. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Matona toiva yesh li beveis genozai. I have this wonderful present put away for you. And what is it? It's called Shabbos. We see that Shabbos is also called over there a matana. We have this idea by Torah also. We say Torah tziva lanu Moshe Moirasha. Torah is an inheritance, and then by the luchos it says when we're getting the luchos, it says vayitein al Moshe. He gave it to Moshe by Eretz Yisrael, by Shabbos, and by Torah. We see that it's brought in both ways. It's a Yerusha and a Matana. So what is going on here? So Nesivos Shalom says a very beautiful mahalach. He says, let's analyze for a second the difference between a Yerusha and a Matana. It says each one of them has their own characteristics, which you do not find by the other one. Think of Yerusha for a second, something which is an inheritance. An inheritance, by nature, has nothing to do with the recipient, with the quality of the person. A person could be, sometimes a child could be, you fill in the blank, he could be anything, right? Whether he deserves Yerusha, he doesn't deserve Yerusha, he followed the wishes of his parents, he didn't, but the bottom line is he's a child. So when the parent passes on, so then he has Yerusha. It has nothing to do with the relationship or the quality of a person in Yerusha. Matana, a present, is a bit different. A present is generally based on the actions and feelings of the parties involved. In other words, if you have a good relationship with me, if we get along, if things are good, then you'll be more want to give me a present, or I would want to show you gratitude or something, I will give you a present. It has a lot to do with the relationship and how much you're actually putting into it. And that's a very big difference between Yerusha and Matana when it comes to physical things. The Nesivos Shalom says the same thing applies to Avodas Hashem. He brings down a very beautiful memra. He says from one of the previous Karlina, from one of the previous Stolner Rebbes. He says Stolner Rebbe says a very, very interesting thought. He says a person sometimes can go through life. He'll keep Shabbos. He'll learn Torah. He'll write another Shmir Shabbos. But the only thing is, he goes through it. He's not into it. He doesn't do it with any feeling. He doesn't do it with any tainuk. He doesn't do it with any amelis. He just goes through life, and he's never machal Shabbos, and he learns also. So the Stolner Rebbe says, Azoi, he says, you know what? When this person, la'acham eva esrim, what's going to happen to this person? He says, of course, he's going to go to Gan Eden. He learned. He kept Shabbos. He did everything right. He says, but you know what he's going to be like in Gan Eden? He's going to be like a bench, like a piece of furniture in Gan Eden. He's going to be there, but you're not going to get anything out of it. The same way you floated through this world, and you Makayim mitzvahs without any emotion, and you didn't put any of yourself into it, when you get to Gan Eden, that's exactly the way you're going to be. You're going to be there, but you're going to be like a safsal. You're going to sit there, you're going to be a bench, and you're just going to be part of the furniture. You're going to be part of the scenery. He says, by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, every Yid is entitled to Yerusha. Yerusha is made for anybody, right? But Matana is only for those who work on it. That's why we have both Lashonas. In other words, all these things that we mentioned, Torah, Shabbos, yeah, you could have it. You're a Yid, you're entitled to it. But Matana is meant for somebody you have to put your effort into it also. The Iker of Shabbos, what's the Iker of Shabbos? Shabbos is Me'ein Olam Haba, is the tainug, is the enjoyment, is the amount that you put into a Shabbos, the enjoyment that you concentrate and take out of a Shabbos to Me'ein Olam Haba. That's a Matana. That's what you get out of Shabbos. That's the Matana of Shabbos. If you don't strive for that, if you don't do anything about Shabbos, you keep Shabbos, you don't do any malacha, but you sleep in bed a whole day and eat your suda in 5 minutes, you don't say anything but Torah, you don't do anything, you're not involved in the Shabbos, yeah, you have Shabbos, but for you, Shabbos is Yerusha. When you put in the work, then you get Matana Toiva Yeshli Beveis Kenazai. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the Matana. Then when you zoicha to Oz Tisana Gal Hashem. And the same thing is be'emes with Torah. A person could sit, you could learn, but you know how it goes. You learn, and your phone rings, you answer the phone, you get text messages, emails, everything. You're learning, you're sitting, but while you're learning, you're also doing 100 other things. So the person's learning Torah. you never feel the real tainug of Torah. A person who learns Torah without amelus b'Torah, it's beged the Yerusha. Yeah, you're learning. Yeah, you're not doing anything wrong at this moment. You're sitting in front of a sefer. You're even learning, but you're not feeling the geschmack. You're not locking out the rest of the world. You don't have the amelus b'Torah, the matana of Torah. You don't have. Therefore, Zok Nesivos Shalom, when we make a bracha on the Torah in the morning, we say Baruch Atah Hashem Noisein HaTorah. Of course, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. We could have just had the Torah. No, we make a bracha for the amelus b'Torah. We make a bracha for the enjoyment we get of locking ourselves into Torah. Noisein HaTorah is not just the word giving. Noisein means what we put into it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. He gives us the Torah of enjoyment. You know, we're saying Noisein HaTorah, where we're saying that all the tanugim that we could possibly have in the Olam Hazeh, nothing comes close to any tanug that we could get from the compared to the Masikas HaTorah, to learning the Torah. And now let's answer the question we asked at the beginning of the parsha. We asked, how is Rabban Shalom? He's promising us Eretz Yisrael. He's promising it to us as a matana and a Yerusha. So how is that possible? Zok the Nesivos Shalom, that by Eretz Yisrael it's the same thing. You could just be in Eretz Yisrael. You could just be there. You could walk the streets. You could just happen to be in Eretz Yisrael. Or you could understand that you're taka in Eretz Chemda Toiva Urachava. You can always concentrate and realize, and it's incredible. We have to outshout this train every single Thursday night, but that's the way it goes. That's it. But you could be in Eretz Yisrael, and then you could be in Eretz Yisrael understanding that you're in the house of Hashem. You could treat Eretz Yisrael that every step you take and every breath you take is full of Kedusha. Everything that you do in Eretz Yisrael is on a higher madrega. The Torah that you learn in Eretz Yisrael is on a higher madrega. So you have a Nesina and a Yerusha. A person that just comes into Eretz Yisrael, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Met Hashem bring us there soon, he comes there. Or even when a person is in Eretz Yisrael today, right? A person could just be there, and you could just be a bench. You could be an inanimate object, somebody that just happens to be geographically, he's in Eretz Yisrael. And then we have the Nesina. We have the part where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us a present. You put something in it. You take out of Eretz Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives it to that person as a Nesina. So we see from here that there are three Yesoides of Yadus, three things which are Matanas Toivos. We have Shabbos, we have Torah, and we have Eretz Yisrael. Where in all three of them, if you want to be laid back, they're a Yerusha. And if you want to be the real thing, if you want to put something into it, if you want to have a melus, if you want to have concentration on how to live in Eretz Yisrael, on how to be in Eretz Yisrael, if you want to understand how to keep Shabbos, to enjoy Shabbos with Torah and the way a person is supposed to enjoy Shabbos also, then you have a special madrega of matana. And be'emes, the lesson we learn out of this, and it's really that way with everything. With everything in the Torah, with everything in life. You could have a life with a chiyus, you can do mitzvahs with a chiyus, you can do it, or you could just coast through life also doing mitzvahs, and also learning Torah, and also learning Shabbos. But if you hear what the Nesivos Shalom brings down, if you hear what the Stolner Rebbe says here, what the Nesivos Shalom brings him down, that it works both ways. If you treat life that way, if you treat your Shabbosim, your Torah, your Eretz Yisrael, you treat it that way, then when you get to Gan Eden, the Rebbe Shalom will say, fine, but we're going to do it your way. You're just going to be an inanimate observer. You're going to be there, but you're going to be treated the same way you do it. So let's hope. Let's take this as a lesson. We're coming tonight. It's Erev Shabbos. Of course, you could start, of course, with a delicious Geshmak Cholent and some Grivin from right here tonight, which will help you enhance your Friday night. Will help you enhance your Shabbos. But remember the Iker. The Iker is the Ruchni is part of it. Not just to give it over to your children, to give it over with a Chiyas, with a Hislavas, with Amelos Batoira, and how to do a Shabbos, and how to live in Eretz Yisrael. And then with this lesson, in Mirz Hashem, will be Zoicha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will taka, give it to us as a matana, and He'll give us many matanas. We should taka be Zoicha to that. This year, I almost forgot. This year was given L'Zeicha Nishmas, one of our mainstay, one of our members here, Rob Taylor, unfortunately lost his mother this week. So this year is L'Zeicha Nishmas, Rob Taylor's mother. We hope that the Torah that we learned here tonight and the Torah that will be seen on Lakewood Scoop and is seen on Lakewood Scoop every week, we hope that it will be a schus for her, and we hope to see you back here next week in Mirz Hashem Rav.